2, 1, and go. Money doesn't grow on trees, especially for the motorsports industry. In fact, I would posit that their money grows on oil. So if you want to make this industry better, we have to be a little bit more intelligent than mandating all of them follow a vague practice that government at no point in this debate so far has weighed the benefits of. So if this debate really is about the environment, then either pick a better sector to target that actually impacts the environment to a sufficient enough degree, or just fucking cut the revenue and funding in motorsports. Outcome number 2 is what happens on proposition, which is an infinitely worse impact in the context of this specific debate topic. I have 3 responses towards government bench. 1. Opening government says ESG has been supported and very heavily propagated within Europe within recent times, which is why these people are incentivized to want to pursue it. 1. This is false specifically in the context of motorsports. Because while PM is correct in saying that the fan base is quite large, the very people who actually support it and put marketing and money into all of the logistical aspects of it, the management aspect of all of these things, of motorsports specifically, haven't been proven to be supportive of ESG. In fact, I will go further and tell you that they are probably anti-ESG for the very simple reason that ESG practically curtails the processes in which is standardized and allows for them to function right now. This is true because of 2 reasons. Firstly, the jobs of motorsports are highly specialized. Literally, a handful of people can do it. So changing the rule book literally means you're reducing the experienced people that you have down to 0. Meaning the sport itself will lag behind and you cannot replace these people easily. This is a direct flip of their point of the rule book, because if it is so hard, then changing the rules means you literally cannot have races for the next 1 to 2 years. Second point of rebuttal, look at the funding of where the money comes from. Motorsports are literally propagated by some Saudi Arabian oil baron billionaire who's probably hoarding 10% of the world's oil reserves. The point in which you stop catering to this specific person is the point in which this person stops giving you money, which means that there's less money, meaning it creates a worse overall quality of the sport. And a worse quality sport means less fans, which literally creates a self-sustaining cycle of shit. Second piece of rebuttal. I would like to argue that the push for ESG initiatives that OG says will be very performative to a very large extent. Because let's be clear, the motorsports industry isn't where massive pollution comes from. It's the people backing this sport where the pollution and massive environmental damage happens. The specific harm that happens when you target motorsports specifically over these specific people is that they get free PR and they get free marketing. They get to say that they are doing their part because now they use water or some environmentally friendly option rather than oil for all of the engines that literally makes it harder for us to call them out on their more shady business practices. This rebuttal is specifically important because it's literally harder to call these specific actors out when you give them this free out of, or when you give this specific form of leverage to ensure that they can actually greenwash, which is what DPM accused us of doing, when it's literally easier for them to do that, especially when you want to mandate all of these things. I'll take the POI in a bit, okay? Thirdly, let me clarify what this debate actually is about, because PM and DPM to a large extent becomes very uncomparative in their case line. Is this debate purely about the environment? I would argue no. And the reason why I would argue no is because the scale of impact is very, very small on-site government. Literally, do you think the Earth is going to have all of its problems solved because F1 now limits the maximum speed of a car? Let's be real. I know we're in debate land, but that makes no sense in my head. The better comparative that Joseph points out, that all of government spends 0 time rebutting, is that F1, or all of the other motorsports within this specific industry, they have an active incentive to want to make money, because making money actually allows for them to spend environmental progress on their own, which we can characterize and which we can prove is something that can happen absent this forceful mandate of ESG practices on our side of the house. So it's literally us going to have more money in order to provide a better quality service, which like on the downturn is going to lead to all of the environmental progress. I get it, it's not as direct, but it is a better and more realistic impact that you can have. I'll take the POI now.
Why do companies invest in motorsports?
It's because it's a sport for the affluent and there's a lot of prestige that comes as a consequence of it, right? It's really not an environmentally attuned sport, and none of the people who actually fund it are going to tell you that, like, literally, that's what it is, right? Extension, why on the comparative is just far better and far easier for us to actually gain all of these environmental progress, absent all of the harms that I just told you, right? Because we think that government case is quite conceivable or concedable. Yes, the environment is important, and F1 to an extent is, I guess, a key player. But as to what Joseph said, we can do all of this absent an ESG directive because, one, teams, franchise owners, and investors do not like being told what to do. This is a very competitive and margin sensitive industry of which decisions need to be made fast, and a lot of these engines and cars have confidential intellectual property rights that govern them because they need to compete. When you force all of them to tokenistically use the same hybrid engine, it undermines innovation and their ability to do this better and their ability to make a better sport overall. But B, the comparative of more organic CSR or corporate social responsibility is better than being like all of this performative ESG directives. This is exclusive and higher delta on our side because we don't turn off the investors and fans who, yes, can be aware of the problem but also want a good show and performance. The point of opening government about that long ass 300-page rulebook is literally already being followed. When you muddle the environment with the two other letters in ESG, which are social and governance, it creates infighting and undermines the ability to be a more specific with the specific problem. How do we win? I think we're just better at being able to create a problem solution match, which opening government doesn't, right? We are like more realistic in our regard of saying, yeah, we probably can't fix the environment, but at the very least, we can still continue to like fix and make sure that this specific sport is something that a lot of people enjoy, which on their comparative just happens so much less. For all of these reasons, very, very proud to oppose.
All right.